It is 12:30. You know what that means. We're doing a 45-minute edition of Curtis Collings Presents the Sports Hour. So that means Curtis Collings Presents the 3/4 of an hour is the show we're going to be doing today. We have the Blue Jays to go over, football from last night, football for this weekend, and potentially more if I run out of stuff to talk about. But I doubt we will because for 45 minutes, I think we have the perfect amount of stuff to go over. I'm just finishing up some notes right now. But first things first, yes, Blue Jays last night, huge win. Football, Packers, huge win. And then we have Collision tomorrow. That's the maybe more if we decide to touch into that. But we're finalizing the bet that we're going to do for our $1 per game for content bet. I'm finalizing the video for last week. That's going to come out on Saturday, tomorrow. So expect that in your inboxes at some point at night. Week 1, not good. Week 2, we'll see. I have optimism. I mean, it's a long shot bet, but I'm a go big or go home type of guy when it comes to this. Because at the end of the day, I'm spending this $17 to have fun, to not win. I'm not really. If any of these bets hit, I'm laughing. I'm not really trying to win any of these. It's they're all for fun. So this will be a very fun one. And I'm not saying that these are super unrealistic, but I'm not saying to join me on these bets. That's what I'm saying. So the content will come out Saturday for our week 1 bet. That video just needs to be finalized, and then the next week hopefully will come out a little sooner for the video. We'll see. Of course, we'll have the evidence of me making the bet here on this sports hour. But I got to remember that in my head, as I got to remember a lot of stuff for this episode because we had a lot of stuff to go over. But the first thing we're going to talk about is how life can be a dream. Oh, life can be a dream when you get Kevin Gossman on your team pitching 9 innings of shutout ball, 2 hits, 1 walk. Unreal. I mean, I got a man crush on Kevin Gossman now. It's official. I mean, this guy is he's unreal. There's no pitcher like him on this Blue Jays, pitching staff. Like, he is the only guy that is goated to a degree that is unmatched by anyone else. It is, he's awesome. I mean, I think it was 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 hits, 9 innings, complete pitch shutout. I love him. I love Kevin Gossman. He's my only guy in the playoffs I trust with 100% certainty. I mean, we'll see. We got a little Chris Bassett game tonight to watch against the Orioles, and we're always bad against the Orioles, so we'll see. Of course, that game is going to be starting at 7:07. It's the prime time baseball game, although there's a lot of games starting at 7:07. I thought we might maybe get the early game of the day. No, we did not. But alas, we will talk about that last game. So overall, in the series against, the Astros, we just wrapped it up the 3-gamer. We won 2 games against a very solid team. Houston Astros were no joke. They're winning their division. They still are after this series. But again, this was a huge test to see if we could beat good teams. And, well, we can beat good teams at the end of the day. I mean, it's been consistent with this team where they play bad against bad teams and play good against good teams. And, oh my goodness, it never stops. So, to wrap up the series, it was a win Tuesday, 4-3. Loss Wednesday, 3-2. Shout out Jeff Hoffman. And then yesterday, 6-0. Oh, amazing. And that's the big thing is no bullpen, no problem. We didn't need the bullpen one bit when your starter goes 9 innings. And you know what that enables us to do now? Breathe comfortably against the Orioles. There's no reason now that we should have bullpen issues in this first game tonight against the Orioles. Like, we gave them a night off. And by we, I mean Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman said, hey, bullpen, buy me a beer. but I'm giving you the night off. So come back and win us some games and stop blowing these games. I saw someone refer to them as the Blow Jays because they keep blowing so many games, which is yikes. I'm glad I didn't coin that term. It's not a good sounding term. Um, but yeah, and then that was after some angry fan after the game on Wednesday. So hey, shout out to them for last night. And really, a guy I've been ragging on for a long time, Davis Schneider, a fan favorite, not of me, but of the general fan base. They quite like this guy. I don't get it. I never have gotten it. But good for the fans for liking this dude. He's got a funny mustache. I can't grow a mustache. This is all just jealousy at the end of the day, I guess. But, he's a guy I thought he's not an MLB talent. He does not deserve to play MLB, regular at-bats. And they proved me wrong with a huge solo 360. 360 is not that big, but, a towering home run. And, shout out to him. I mean, hey, if you're going to get it done, do it in spite of me. I'll take it because, you're still producing offense. The rest of the team was also very good. I mean, you don't get 6 runs by accident. George Springer went 1 for 3, 2 hits, no runs, no RBIs. Interesting game for him, honestly. And a walk. Nathan Lucas, 2 for 4 with a RBI. Vladdy, 1 for 4 with nothing else. Barger, though, 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He is getting hot again. It's really fun to see Barger really, finding himself again. As he went on a little cold stretch there. He went on a 15-game streak of, getting RBIs. It wasn't that high, but it was something ridiculous like that. And so it is very fun to see him, regain that. Just a glimpse of it. Sadly, Ernie Clement was 0 for 4. We're not going to mention that. We're just going to. Yeah, Dalton Varsho, 2 for 4 with an RBI. He was also bringing in the runs. And then that game from Davis Schneider, he had another RBI later on. So, 2 RBIs for Davis Schneider in a 1 for 3 game. And then the rest of the boys we don't need to mention because they went 0 for. That's Heineman and Jimenez. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to mention them, and then I immediately mentioned them. So, yeah, Davis Schneider actually had the offense bumping in this one. He could have been the only guy to take at-bats for us in this game, and we still would have won. I guess we could have had, I think, Lou Perfito take every at-bat in this game, and we eventually would have won with how good Gausman was pitching. Again, the full stat line, I said it before, I'll say it again just to make sure I got it completely correct. I'm pretty sure I did, but to confirm, it was 9 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. All game, 3 base runners. Talk about making your ERA go down. Talk about making your whip go down. Walks and hits divided by innings pitched. It's a beauty game. Beauty game for the advanced analytics nerds. His ERA has gradually been declining over the season. It's been very fun to watch that. I remember early in the year, Kevin Gausman had an ERA that started with a 4 dot, and that was rather ugly, if we're going to be honest with each other. Nowadays, it sits at a 3.44, and I don't know if that's the updated stats after this game, or if that's if that's it with the 9 innings pitched of shutout ball, but it is very fun to watch. Very fun to watch when he does that. I'm going to check Pro Baseball Reference to see who leads the league in complete game shutouts this year, because, it's a rarity, I think, in the modern day baseball game. And it's a sad sight that we're not getting as many complete game shutouts. Because that was one of, as a child, growing up, I would hear about it. Because I grew up in a very good age for pitchers. The tail end of Roy Halladay was when I was 7 years old. And then I got guys like Trevor Lincecum, just before I started really getting into baseball. But in baseball video games, I played MLB 2K12 religiously. And so I know all the pitchers. Madison Bumgarner was okay in that game. Lincecum was the Giants' ace, and he used to do it all the time. And there's a reason why he pitched not very long. It's unfortunate. It really is. Uh, yeah, but it's a lost art. Sandy. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna say his last name wrong because I can't remember. Sandy. I'm gonna look it up because I refuse to butcher his name. He's one of my favorite pitchers. When he was at his best, it was special to watch. It reminded me of how pitchers used to be treated, um, before the whole arm. Sandy Alcantara, uh, he was special for a minute there. His season where he won the Cy Young, I can't remember which one exactly it was. I think 2022 or 2023 was one of my favorite pitcher seasons just to follow along with. Such a fun player to like. It's too bad he's not that same pitcher anymore. He lost it with a horrible arm injury, but alas, uh, he still like has it here and there. But yeah, it's not the same. As looking through the stats of the leaders right now, I looked through all the batter stats looking for shutouts like an idiot. I don't know why I did that. I'm learning now Kikuchi's tied for the lead in games started. I guess because he's the ace with the Angels, but still. Okay, so looking at the shutouts leaderboard, again, this is what I'm talking about. The age of the complete game shutout is done. It's over. The league, uh, it's tied for first. Everyone that has a complete game shutout only has one. That's guys like Garrett Crochet, Nathan Eovaldi, Kevin Gosman, Tarek Skubal, and then a bunch of other guys. The funniest one is Stefan Kolek, a career relief pitcher slash starter. He's been starting this year, but he's been a reliever in the past. He once started 42, or no, he got into 42 games as a rookie because he was a relief pitcher, and then immediately after this season, they shifted him to be a starter. That was the Padres. They traded him to the Kansas City Royals. Fascinating fantasy performance that night. But yeah, so it's funny. Like David Peterson also, I'm pretty sure this is a guy that's shifted from bullpen work. No, this guy's only been a starter. I'm thinking of a different guy for the Mets. But the day of the complete game shutout is over, and the age of the complete game is also over too, as the leader in complete games is two guys, Valdez and Lodolo for Houston, Cincinnati, respectively, and they each have two. That's it for complete games, and then below that you get all the guys with the shutouts, and then a couple other guys who've allowed like 1 run or 2 runs while going the full nine. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird to me. And it's probably even weirder to people who grew up in the 80s and 90s. And probably even older to even older people who grew up with, pitchers in the 60s and the 70s. But, there's not many people that could speak on that. At least no one in this chat that will speak on that. That's that old, unfortunately. So, because that would be, really fun. It's one of those things of the advantages of the internet is that we're able to archive everything from like way back in the day. And so old baseball stuff remains. Like we know about old Hoss Rasborn who pitched like 59 complete games in one season. Like that's never going to happen again. I think his arm fell off subsequently after. But that's never going to happen again. I don't even know if we're going to have 5 complete games in a season. Like maybe we will have 5 in a season again. 10 never. I'm 100% confident that we will never see a 10 complete game season in MLB. Which is too bad because it's a lost art. It really is. I would love to go back to like we'll try to find 2015 MLB stat leaders because I'm very curious now, and we're gonna find this out together because why not have a little bit of fun? I need pitchers specifically. In 2015, so that was the year, of course, Josh Donaldson, American League MVP for your Toronto Blue Jays. Great year for us. That was also Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, and Josh Donaldson all had 40 home runs, and I think they all had over 90 RBIs. I'm pretty sure they all had over 100. That was that year, but I'm not certain. Don't quote me on that. But it was a great year. 2015, super fun year for baseball. And we're looking at the complete games. It's more impressive, I guess. Um, but you have 6 pitchers tied for first with 4 games. So we almost got one pitcher with 5 10 years ago. Um, and then we had a couple other pitchers with 3 games. David Price of our Toronto Blue Jays being one of them. The leaders that year were Arrieta, Kluber, Bumgarner, Burley for the Blue Jays as well, Kershaw, and Scherzer. Yeah, shout out Burley, one of the underrated guys. I doubt he's going to get into the Hall of Fame because he was on the ballot. I don't think he got 10% of the votes, which is unfortunate because, in my opinion, Hall of Famer. I think he was on that 2006 White Sox team that won the World Series. So, I mean, a guy that's underrated. Like, I think he's going to be eternally underrated now, unless people like me, young people, continue to promote him. Of course, shout out to Foolish Baseball making a video about him being the baseball's secret speedrunner, where he liked to finish games in under 2 hours before the pitch clock was a thing. We're going back now to 2005. We're going to jump back another 10 years. Because why not? Let's keep going on this little experiment. I love that it's been saying David Schneider on the side, and I haven't talked about him for like 10 minutes now. I've been on a big little non sequitur, but this is fun anyway. So 2005 complete games. We had 2 guys tied for first with 7, and that's Carpenter and Willis. And then we have Roy Halladay in third, but second. He had 5. And then a couple different guys had 4, and then a ton of guys had 3. And this season we have 1, and that's the max that we'll get from, I think, any pitcher. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna make 10-year jumps, and that's the advantage of being in the year of 2025, so we can make these 10-year jumps, and they're very very satisfying. Where we're going back now to 1999. To the pitching stat leaders. And I think the further back we go, the more ridiculous it's going to get. Because, of course, now we're in the 90s. We got guys like Greg Maddux, who literally has a stat named after him, named the Maddux, which is where you pitch a complete game in under 100 pitches. He was the master at doing that. And so we go back to 1999, complete games. We look at number 1, Greg Maddux, 10 games. 10 games! And then number 2, McDowell at 8 games. And then we had a couple guys tied for third, Mussina, Leiter, and Erickson, all with 7. And then a ton of guys tied at 6, Johnson, Wakefield, Valdez, Cohen, and Wells, all of them with 6. Gone are these days. Forever. I mean, this is now, what, 30 years ago? We're going back 30 years for these stats to finally find pitchers that do complete games. Yeah. And with that is going to be the extinction of the perfect game. I really think that while the perfect game already is as rare as it gets, I think we've only had 1 so far in the 2020s, and we're 5 years in. I think we had 3 in the 2010s. I think in the 2030s, we will be lucky to get 1 next decade. And even then, I doubt we see 1. I think that's how rare they're going to get. Which is surprising because the general consensus is that pitchers are better than ever, and it's harder than ever to be a hitter in MLB, although offense has been up this year if we're looking at like fantasy statistics and whatnot. But still, pitchers are better than ever. It's just pitchers are falling off. Their arms are dying faster than ever. It's fascinating. We'll do one last little jump here. We'll go back to 1985. 40 years, and then we'll move on to talk about some football. But this one's probably going to be the most fascinating because 40 years ago we didn't believe in modern medicine is modern for a reason. I don't even think they believed in medicine back then. 85 is not the Stone Age. I'm very much so overselling it. But okay, so I just read those stats for the first time ever. Please tell me why. Please tell me why in 1995 the leader in complete games was 10, Greg Maddux. And then after that it was 8, and then 7, and then 6. In 1985 the leader in complete games was 24. Just gonna let that sit for a minute. 24 complete games. Oh my God. By oh my goodness, and it's by Bert Blyleven. Impressive. A pitcher for the Twins, Rangers, Pirates, Indians, Twins again, and then Angels. And he pitched till he was 41. Led the league in losses 1 year when he was 37. Led the league in WAR 2 years. He had a 9.8 WAR 1 year. What an unreal year, and he came 7th in Cy Young. The 80s were a wild time. Exactly, Austin. The 80s were a wild time. They were not concerned about these pitchers' arms in these sites. And yeah, this guy pitched to 41. He led the league in complete games. Okay, hold on. This is a side note to our side note. Please, Hall of Famer. Shout out to Bert Blyleven. It's Blyleven. Blyleven. Yeah, Blyleven. Okay. This guy's a Hall of Famer. I'm just learning about him now. He was born in the Netherlands. So hey, baseball history. Born in the Netherlands, has a career 94.5 WAR. And his accolades, 2-time All-Star. What were the 80s? I guess they don't have these stats regularly available to them like we do, I guess. Or they're not, they weren't advanced stats people. He lost a lot of games. That's why. In his career, he went 10-9, 16-15, 17-17, 20-17, 17-17, 15-10. Oh my goodness. This guy couldn't get, his offenses must have sucked forever. This is shocking. How do you lead the league in WAR? 9.8 WAR. I guess because he just is a WAR accumulator from playing so much. He leads the league in WAR and has 17 losses to only 20 wins. And that's in 40 games. 9 shutouts. Leads the league in shutouts with 9. In that season where he had 24 complete games, he was 34. Let's keep that in mind. And had 5 shutouts. When he was 38, he had 5 shutouts. Okay, no, this guy's just special. Okay, and we're talking about criminally underrated players. How does he have no sight? The 80s were a wild time. So I guess I'll wrap up my baseball talks. I've lost my mind enough about 80s baseball for one afternoon. So I guess we should move on to a little football because we had Thursday night football and the Packers are legit. I told you guys. I told every single one of you when we did our stat predictions. I said this Packers team is going to be first in the NFC and they're going to be the team to beat. And it's that defense. The Lions shut down. And you know what they just did? The Commanders shut down. The addition of Micah Parsons really is that big. And if we're being real, he's not even playing that much. In game 1, they had him on a snap restriction. Game 2, he definitely played more. But if you want his snap percentage, he only played 45% of the snaps in the game 1. And in that 45%, he got a sack. In this game, he played 68% of snaps, and in that he got 2 tackles and half a sack, and I think 3 hits on Jane Daniels. Not tackles, just hits, but fantasy points regardless. But he's a difference maker. He is the difference maker for that defense. I knew he would be, and now this Packers team, a big 27-18 win. They look great. And they're legit. I really think if this team wins 14, 15 games, I would be not surprised in the world. In that game last night, Jordan Love went 19 for 31 for 292 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. A fantastic game. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, my tight end in Dynasty for a while. I drafted him with a 3rd-round pick and a 4-round draft. I'm quite proud of that. I'm very proud of that. He had 124 yards and a touchdown on 6 receptions. What a game. 72 yards after the catch. Just yakking him up on the ground. Josh Jacobs, 84 yards and a touchdown. I knew he would. Romeo Doubs, 28 yards, 1 touchdown on 3 receptions. Dontavian Wicks, 44 yards. It was a committee game for the wide receivers, as we've come to know with this Green Bay team, but a great game for Tucker Kraft, who's my guy. And then looking over to Washington, Jane Daniels had 200 passing yards exactly, so I knew that was going to happen. but only 17 yards on the ground. So, hey, I was wrong. I'll admit that. I thought he was going to rush a lot better, but the Packers defense just swallowed him up. It was awesome. Great to watch. The standout guys were Deebo Samuel, 7 catches for 44 yards. Which is funny because his yards after the catch were 56 yards after the catch, but he only had 44 yards. A lot of screen passes for Deebo. They also had Zach Ertz catch a touchdown and get 64 yards on 6 catches of his own. No Tucker Kraft, but he was pretty good. Sadly, we got guys like Terry McLaurin, 5 receptions, 48 yards. I was wrong again. I don't know what's happening. He's just not been the same receiver that he was last year. And I guess if we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders, we have to talk about the sad news that came out of the game, which sucks. I don't want to mention it, but we have to. Austin Eckler ruptured his Achilles. It looked identical to how Damian Lillard and Tyrese Halliburton ruptured theirs. And the moment it happened, I called it out. I said, yep, ruptured his Achilles. That's awful. So I wouldn't be surprised if he legitimately retired based on this injury, which is awful for a guy that, has had a very good career. So shout out to Austin Eckler, great career. Rest up. Hopefully he can come back and play football, but who knows at this point. Now, to talk about more fun stuff, Jordan Love MVP season. I know you've probably been looking at it this whole episode and thinking, no way he's going to actually vouch for this. And yes, way I'm going to vouch for this. If there was 4 throws where he overthrew his receiver by about this much, which is fixable. If he fixed that in that game and those catches were made, he probably would have added 200 yards and like a touchdown or 2 to his final stats. And he probably would have finished with like 400, 500 yards on the game if his throws were like a foot shorter. Now, say he does that against bad teams 3, 4, 5 times this season where those throws do get made. And he's not on as much pressure with the Commanders defense. Very old, not very good. But still better than the Panthers defense or the Panthers defense or the Saints defense or the Panthers defense. Anyways, I think it could legitimately be an MVP season for Jordan Love if he's able to reach that 40 touchdown echelon and he's got the weapons to do it. Just so long as Tucker Kraft can, emerge as a number 1 receiving threat, then hey, no reason not. I think he could be the Gronk to his Brady. And he's that type of player, more of a Brett Favre type of thrower, not a Brady thrower. He's more wild, but Brett Favre won MVPs. Maybe it's Jordan Love's season, and if the Packers are 15-2, he throws for 40 plus touchdowns, under 10 interceptions. I don't see he'll throw for over 4,000 yards. I'm confident in that. I don't see how he doesn't at least get top 3 MVP finish. Maybe he wins it. Who knows? And then that pick looks genius by the Packers, but we'll have to see. As we look towards the NFL Week 2, taking place on Sunday. I cannot wait. I am extremely excited. And something that has me optimistic is the fact that for my Panthers, so much went wrong that is, fixable. Felt like the sun was in their eyes, like half the game. It was bright in Jacksonville, and it felt like they were making a lot of stupid mistakes. I don't know why. Maybe they're hot. Maybe they're stupid. Maybe they didn't practice enough. Maybe they didn't play enough in the preseason, Dave Canales. Who knows? Who's to say? Who's to say? I don't know. But what I do know is that this user on Twitter compiled the Bryce Young unseen yards. So someone who watched the game went through every single offensive snap and compiled what should have been an extra, give or take, 150 yards. I don't know what this first one is. 1 missed to 8. 8 is JC Horn. I don't know what that means. Either way, 1 drop by Renfro. So that was a 15-yarder. 1 interception after Leggett ran into the back of a player, which watching the clip, the more I watch that interception, the more it's inexcusable on Xavier Leggett. Horrible horrible. If he plays hard in the slightest, then that ball is at least on the ground and it's tipped downwards. But because he's so weak, because he's such a pansy on that ball, it pops upwards and into the arms of the Jaguars. It's so stupid. And watching from the reverse angle of the guy that catches the ball, it bounces on the ground. It chaps my butt. It chaps my butt cheek so hard watching that interception back. Not just because they literally get it, but because it wasn't a catch. It in his hands bounced off the ground and up into his arms again. It should be ruled a catch. If we're being honest with each other, that's a catch. It was a catch. But by the official rule book of the NFL, he did not have control of that ball while he was going down because he had it in his arms like this. The ball's sitting here. It hits the ground and pops up into his hands. That is not possession. That hit the turf. It's not a catch. It kills me. That kills me. So that's a bad interception. Shouldn't have been an interception. No way. Should have ran it anyways. It shouldn't even be a throw. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. Anyways, a drop by JT Sanders, that was 15 yards. Another drop by Renfro, that was 15 yards. A tip ball miss to 0. One drop out of bounds by Leggett, the 20-yard out of bounds. Stupid, can't tap your toes. A drop by Chuba Hubbard for 5 yards. The Bryce Young fumble that cost him 8 yards on the ground. If he just slides or goes down before, that's not an issue. A pass interference on Tedero McMillan for 30 yards. I think that's a missed one. One miss by Bryce on a 10-yard touchdown. He missed Jatavion Sanders pretty bad. That was on Bryce Young. One botched snap resulting in a sack on Bryce. Shout out Austin and Corbett for that. That was horrible. Tommy Tremble was open on a drag route, but because of the snap being so bad, Bryce Young literally had no time to see him as he was making his route because he was jumping up for the ball. Oh, that was so frustrating. Tipped ball batted down at the line. That's, Bryce's fault. You gotta throw better than that. Drop touchdown by Tedero McMillan. I mean, good defense, but Tedero McMillan said himself that he has to have that ball. Another drop / a catch out of bounds by Leggett. He did it twice. I don't know if you noticed. A shuttle pass missed to Chuba Hubbard. That's on Bryce. One throw out of bounds. A drop out of bounds. Renfro caught it, but didn't catch it in bounds. That was 20 yards gone. A missed short pass by to Tedero McMillan on Bryce. And then the second interception of the game was a drop pass, a dump off to Dowdle, who fumbled the ball horribly. And yeah, bada boom, bada bing. There goes 150 yards. And with that 150 yards, you know what Bryce would have finished with his stat line? We'll only give him one touchdown. We'll say he still throws it away on 4th down and makes a bad decision. Sure, we can't be perfect. No one is. But say we get 100 extra yards out of that. That's a 250-yard game with 2 touchdowns and preferably 0 interceptions because I think both interceptions could be cleaned up. And so next week, Sunday against the Cardinals, who's to say we don't ball out again? Bryce balls out. We've consistently played good against the Cardinals, just the Panthers as a franchise. And Bryce Young played great against them last year in a huge win. He went 17 completions for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, 68 yards on the ground for a touchdown as well. So 3 touchdowns, combined 242, I think. I can't do math. But 230 plus, 225 plus yard game with 3 touchdowns against the Cardinals in a big win. He was the second best quarterback on the week, I'm pretty sure. And so that's kind of going to dictate how I treat this game moving forward. Of course, in that game against the Cardinals, he didn't have Tedero McMillan. Of course, we don't have Jalen Coker, which sucks still. But I still think the offense can be ramped up a bit, can be turned up just a notch. I think we're going to fix a little bit, fix some of the mistakes. We're not going to fix all the mistakes. No way, no how. But we're going to fix some of the mistakes. And so here it is, the bet for week 2 of the Panthers. We're down to $16. Whoopsie daisies. Last week, not good. Flash it here on the screen. That's for the video I make. So let's look into the bet for this week. We have a 4-leg parlay because we're doing $1 bets. I want to, win something out of this, maybe. I mean, it's all for fun, so I want to go crazy. So the 4 legs: Chuba Hubbard, 80 plus yards rushing; Tedero McMillan, 70 plus yards receiving; Chuba Hubbard, anytime touchdown. That's receiving or rushing. And then Bryce Young, 200 yards throwing. I bet my $1 per game. That would give me $10. We'll see. We will see. So Bryce Young last year against the Cardinals, only 158 yards, and his first game of the year, only 154 yards. That's why I like the 200 line. It's a very good odds for what it is. I'm pretty sure it was like negative 105. I think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to go off for 300 yards. No way, no how. But I think he could get like 219 yards. A nice little, like, not crazy, but a good game. Great game for Bryce Young. Which I don't like saying it like that, but he's never really a guy that needs to cook with the crazy yardage to win games. We've experienced that last year. And then looking over to Chuba Hubbard, of course, he's got the 2 legs in this parlay. He's the most important piece of the puzzle. In the first game of the year, a big receiving touchdown, and he was actually, really good in the air, other than his drop, which was unfortunate. And then last year against that, in that game against the Cardinals, he was the second best running back in the league. He had 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I'm cool with 80 yards and a touchdown. I think, confident. I'm very confident. Of course, Arizona's definitely going to be scheming for him and game planning around him to try not to let that happen again. But, I love Chuba Hubbard. And I think those are going to be money, and I love the odds that those carry. And then our last piece of the puzzle, Tedero McMillan. Of course, he didn't play last year. He's our rookie receiver. But he had 68 yards. I'm betting on him to get 70 plus today. Sunday, not today. And, we'll see. He had 5 receptions for those 68 yards on 9 targets. So say he gets 11, 10, 11 targets, catches 6, 7 of them. Who's to say he can't reel in 80 plus yards? And so I feel like I'm actually kind of keeping it modest by he's doing 70, but we'll have to wait and see for the game Sunday. So the official bet: Chuba Hubbard, 80 plus yards rushing; Chuba Hubbard, anytime touchdown; Tedero McMillan, 70 plus yards in the air; and Bryce Young, 200 plus yards in the air. $1 turns into 10.24 if you want me to be exact. I'm optimistic. If the game goes poorly, oh well, it's $1. Like, I care. It'll make for good content of me being really sad that I'm 0 for 2 to start the year. And if the Panthers are 0 for 2 to start the year, well, you're going to hear it. And so I guess I'll have to update you on next week. No Monday show, because I got a job. I'm working normal hours, 9 to 5 Monday. So we'll fit in the episode where we can, when we can later on. And we're for sure going to be talking about how the game Sunday went. So I'm very excited about that. We got 5 minutes left in the episode today. Shorter episode. Not as much to talk about, but we are looking forward to this weekend big time. I say 5 minutes left. Probably going to cut it off. I'm going to say I had a fun episode. Nice 40 minutes. We're going to be back next week with tons to talk about. Tonight, Blue Jays, Chris Bassett facing off against the Orioles. We'll hope for the best. But regardless, very fun day today on the Sports Hour. We're making it a Sports 40 minutes instead. But regardless, still a ton of fun. Until I do this again, not sure which day next week, but make sure you have your notifications turned on for the Collings Network so you don't miss the next stream. So, thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, this has been Curtis Collings.